If property taxes ended in Florida,
your property taxes eliminated.
Aimed at eliminating or reducing property taxes.
Today we're diving into a hot topic that's stirring up debates across the Sunshine State. Could Florida really eliminate property taxes? Governor Ron DeSantis believes it's possible, and we're here to break it all down. What this proposal means for homeowners, renters, and the essential public services that keep our communities running. Before we dive in, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let me know. Do you think eliminating property taxes is a great idea for Florida? Or could it spell disaster? And while you're at it, tell me which state you're in and whether you're currently paying property taxes or not. Your feedback is super valuable, and if you are new here, I'm James Bessinger, your local Orlando realtor, so let's get the conversation started. Section 1, what's the proposal? All right, so here's the quick lowdown on what's being proposed. Governor DeSantis wants to take a bold step by amending the Florida Constitution to completely eliminate property taxes. He's been very clear in his messaging. He argues that paying an annual tax on your own property is like renting it from the government, which just doesn't make sense.
You buy a home, you own it outright, free and clear, and yet you have to continue to pony up money to the government just for the courtesy of using your own property. We don't tax like that in almost any other instance.
This idea is more than just a physical reform. It's a philosophical challenge to how we view property ownership in Florida. Right now, property taxes are a major source of revenue for local governments, funding everything from our public schools to our police and fire departments. These taxes keep our communities safe and ensure we have the necessary infrastructure to thrive. The big question is, property taxes vanish. Where does that money go? And how do we make up for nearly $55 billion that currently flows into the local services here? The proposal suggests that instead of an outright cancellation, we might see alternatives, perhaps a significant reduction in the rate or even a shift where other taxes, like sales taxes, are increased to fill the gap. With Florida's heavy reliance on tourism and sales tax, this could theoretically work, but it also comes with major trade-offs. Moreover, this isn't just about numbers on a page. It's about rethinking the balance between government funding and personal freedom. Governor DeSantis has even hinted that if the constitutional amendment passes with the required 60% of voter approval, Florida could see a transformative shift in its tax structure. It's a proposal that promises relief for many homeowners, but as well, explore the ripple effects could be far-reaching. Section 2, how do property taxes work in Florida? Let's take a deeper dive into how property taxes function in Florida. As many of you know, Florida's tax system is pretty unique. There's no state income tax. Instead, the state leans heavily on sales taxes and revenue generated by tourism. This means that while property taxes might seem relatively moderate, when compared with states that have, higher income taxes, they're a critical piece of the puzzle here. The median property tax bill was around $3,100, almost 95% increase from the previous year. And when we look back to 2019, property taxes across the state have surged by about 47.5%. That's a huge jump, especially for homeowners on fixed incomes or retirees who might already be feeling squeezed by rising living costs. This growth in tax bills means that as your property value increases, so does your tax burden. Even if the tax rate itself doesn't change, it's a double-edged sword. While higher property values can be a sign of a booming real estate market, they can also lead to significantly higher annual costs. And if you're a veteran, you might be eligible for various exemptions that could help offset these costs. Understanding these trends is crucial because they set the stage for why this proposal is so appealing to many, and also why it's so controversial. Rising taxes can mean less disposable income for families, which is why many are excited by the prospect of lower property taxes. But we have to consider the whole picture. Section 3, what would this mean for public services? Now here's where things get really interesting and a bit tricky. Property taxes aren't just a line item on your bill. They are the lifeblood of the local government budgets. These taxes fund our schools, maintain our roads, and pay for emergency services like police and fire departments. business and support countless other public services that we rely on every single day. If property taxes were eliminated or even drastically reduced, Florida would have to find a way to replace that lost revenue. One possibility that's been floated is to increase sales tax. And since Florida already depends significantly on sales tax, this might seem like a natural alternative. But there's a catch. Raising sales taxes can be regressive. That means lower income families could end up shouldering a larger portion of the tax burden, which might not be a fair trade-off for the relief homeowners experience from lower property taxes. Another potential solution could involve shifting revenue sources to other fees or tolls. For example, the state might look at increasing toll road charges or business fees, or even consider new service fees that would directly impact consumers. And the concern here is that while these measures could generate the necessary revenue, they might also lead to higher overall costs for residents, potentially damaging economic growth or making the cost of living even more challenging. Critics argue that without careful planning, the elimination of property tax could undermine the quality of essential services, leaving schools underfunded, roads in disrepair, and emergency service stretched thin. So while the promise of lower annual bills is enticing, we have to ask, at what cost does this come to our communities? Section 4. Impact on the real estate market. Let's shift our focus to the real estate market. As a local and realtor, I can see how it's coming. This is a key area that could see both benefits and challenges from this proposal. On one hand, if property taxes are reduced or eliminated, homeowners might enjoy significant savings. This could boost affordability, potentially making it easier for people to buy homes and for current homeowners to hold on to their properties without being squeezed by rising costs. However, there's a flip side to consider. As property values continue to rise, so do the tax bill. That comes with them. If the tax burden is suddenly shifted to other forms of taxation like sales tax, the overall cost structure is the real estate market could change. In the short term, lower property taxes might attract more buyers and investors, which could drive up home values even further. But over the long term, if local services suffer due to reduced funding, neighborhoods might become less attractive. This could eventually lead to a decrease in property values or slower growth in the real estate market. Moreover, the uncertainty around how exactly the lost revenue will be replaced can make investors and homeowners nervous. When potential buyers or investors are unsure about the future of public services like schools, parks, and safety, this can impact market demand and even influence lending practices. And ultimately, while the idea of lower taxes is appealing, the broader economic impacts on property values and community stability need to be considered very carefully. Section 5, comparing Florida with other states. Let's put Florida's tax situation into a broader national context. In states like New Jersey, homeowners can face annual property tax bills that often exceed $9,000, while in New York, median bills typically hover around $6,500. By comparison, Florida's median property tax, about $3,100, is much lower, which helps explain why many retirees and high earners are drawn to the state's tax-friendly environment. However, it's not all straightforward. States such as Texas also boast no state income tax. Yet many Texans still contend with high property tax burdens driven by rapidly rising home values. In more rural parts of the country, like West Virginia, the average property tax can be under $1,000, offering a completely different physical picture from both the high tax urban centers and mid-range markets like Florida. But here's the twist. Even though Florida's current tax rate might look attractive, recent years have seen a dramatic surge in property values that has pushed tax bills upward. What might seem like a low rate now could soon evolve into a heavier burden, and the trend continues. Moreover, if Florida opts to replace lost revenue by shifting to alternative taxes, the higher sales or service fees, the overall tax pressure on residents may increase, potentially impacting public services and quality of life over time. So what do you think? Could Florida really afford to eliminate property taxes without hurting its public services and real estate market? Or would the side effects outweigh the benefits, leaving residents to pick up the tab through higher sales taxes or other fees? I'd love to hear hear your opinion. Drop a comment below and let's get a discussion going. If you are looking to buy, sell, invest, or relocate to Orlando, Florida, or the greater area, feel free to contact your local realtor, James Bessinger. All of my contact information is provided below. Found this video helpful? Please hit that like button, subscribe for more updates on Florida's economy and real estate trends. And please share this video with friends and family who might be affected by these proposals. Your feedback and support help keep the conversation alive and informed. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.